Assalamu alaikum ji, Code Movement Pakistan audience. So we are here with another episode of Code Movement Pakistan Weekly Jam, and today we'll be talking about network calls in Flutter, and Osama Asif will going to be with us. Assalamu alaikum Osama, how are you?
Walaikum assalam. I'm good, Rahil. How about you?
Doing very good, thank you. So are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right, so we're able to see your screen now, so it's all you now. You're
Okay,
live,
right.
okay?
Okay, right. Thank you.
Let's
Okay,
do it.
guys. I hope that you all are doing fine. Okay, so as you know, my name that I'm Osama, and today we are going to see that how to make a network calls in Flutter. And first of all, I want to give you my introduction that I'm a senior software engineer at Zapcom, and I'm working on Flutter since uh, past 4 years. I'm working on Flutter. So let's get started without wasting further more time on it. Okay, so today's agenda. Okay, so today we are going to discover that what are the network calls, and we will see that different sections of the HTTP request, and also we will take a little bit look of the HTTP methods, and also we will see that how to implement a network calls in Flutter. And we will see that, and after that we will see that we will see the network clients and how to handle and create a custom exceptions, and also that we will and along with that we will see that what are the interceptors and how do they work. Okay, so let's start with the network calls. Okay, so a network calls like in Flutter, we usually make a network calls like from our mobile apps or from a desktop app or from a web app. So we have to communicate with the server for getting our required and desired data from the server. So how can we get those type of those data from the server? So for this we have we will we use network calls in this case. Okay, so today we are discovering we will discover the REST APIs, and there are further more network calls like we usually do in Firebase or we usually do in GraphQL queries. So there are some more, but today we will take a look on the REST APIs. Okay, so like I want some kind of data from the server. So how can I get that data from the server? We use the REST APIs, and we use some type of methods for getting those type of data, like I want to get some kind of data, or I want to post some kind of data, or I want to update some kind of data onto the server. So in this case we use REST APIs. And after that we have a HTTP request sections. So number one, like for making a successful HTTP request, we have some parameters that we have to fulfill to make a successful request. So in this case, we have first the HTTP request line. So what is this? In this, we have to define our method. Like this is a post method or a get method. We have to define the HTTP method that to be used, and we will also define our URI. I like URI that I want to locate this specific location to this onto the server. So we define our URI, and also we define our HTTP method. And after that we have our request header. So in header we usually pass our bearer tokens, like for making authorizations call, like we pass our tokens, and we also define that what type of request it is, like it is a application JSON request or it's a kind of XML request. So we define these parameters in request header. And after that we have a request body. Okay, so in body we usually pass the additional information to the server, like I'm going to sign in, or I'm going to sign up on my application. So how can I send those required parameters like emails and password, or so how can I send these type of parameters to the server? So we usually put those parameters in our request body. Okay, and after that So by combining these three parts, we have a we can make a successful request, and our request body will and our request will look something like this. Okay, so I know you guys have a knowledge about the HTTP methods, but I'm going to overview a little bit on it so we can clear the we can clear that what they do, what they really do, and when we use of these methods. Okay, so number one is get. Okay, so for whenever we usually get some kind of data to the server, so it's the default request for getting data, and we usually use this request for retrieving some kind of information to the server, and it's a read only like it's a read only actions. Post request, we normally use this request for passing some kind of data to the server, and in this request our data is not passed through the headers, our data is passed through the body. So we usually do this request for sending some kind of confidential information to the server. Put. So the put like the put request we usually used for updating data. Like I have to update the resource onto the server. So how can I change those? How can I change that data onto the server? So we in this case we use the put request. Okay, so the thing we have to the difference between the put and the patch request is here. Like the patch request is used only for for changing the data onto the specific location. Like I have a node and I have to update the specific name on it. So in this case, I use the patch request, and for put request, we replace the whole node. So we replace the whole data or resource. So in this case we use the put request, and the one thing notable is thing the one notable thing is here is that we the put request is idempotent, idempotent. Like I can, like if I hit the if I hit request multiple times, so the server will consider all of those requests once. And after that we have a delete request. The same thing is here, that like the delete request is also idempotent. Like if I try to make a multiple request onto the server, the delete request will consider it one. Like the server will consider it one and delete your data only once. And it also for deleting the data, it's a very simple request. Okay, next. Okay, so in Flutter, today we are going to implement the network calls by using Dio library. Okay, so we are using the version 4.0.04, and you guys are maybe thinking that why are we using this library, because we have a native library, or like we have another library that provided by the Flutter and it's HTTP library. So, but why Dio? Okay, so there are reason about that why are we using Dio request. So it accepts interceptors. It has a global configuration, form data, request cancellation, file downloading and uploading with progress, and there are some more. And the cons of using Dio is like there's only one cons. Like it's a third library, but I think there's no there's that is not a big deal. Like it's provided by a big community like Flutter China, so we can easily use it. Okay, so without wasting further more time, or we can go into the application and we will see that how can we use those things in our application. So now come on to the code. Okay, so let's start with the Dio clients. In which we will see that like how can we set up the clients, in which we will see that base options, interceptors, and how to initialize it, like initialization and exception handling we will see in that in this part. So the Dio client networks, I think my screen is visible to you guys, and the font size is also fine, I think, guys. So let's start with the initialization. Okay, so this part here, we usually use this. I usually use this part for the initialization, like in which I define the base options, like the connection timeout, like if I'm not getting the data from the server, so I have to request timeout on this interval. Like here I'm defining the 6 minute of time interval, and also I'm defining the base URL. Like this is my base URL, so I don't have to set the base URL again and again. I can set all of those things in my base options. And there are some more properties, so we can use as per the requirements. Okay, so here we have one more thing, the interceptors. Okay, so before explaining the interceptors, I want to tell you guys there are four types of interceptors, like log interceptors, request interceptors, error interceptors, and request interceptors. So right now we are using only three interceptors, like in which we are using the log interceptors, we are using the request interceptors, and the error interceptors. Okay, so let's start with the log interceptors. Okay, so you may be thinking that what is this like? So in log interceptors, we usually print our response, or we usually log our response onto the console. Like I'm sending this request to the server, and I'm getting that response from the server. So we usually these type of things in the log interceptors. And there are some property, like if I make the request bool, so it will not log the request, it will not log the response body if I make it false. Sorry. And also if I make it like error false, so then it will not log the error. And after that we have our request interceptors. Okay, so in request interceptors, just leave it this part for now, I will explain you later. But in the request interceptors, we usually see that what are the like before sending the request to the server, we validate our request owner, and like the authorization token is null or not. Like if it's null, so we can get the token from like from shared preference, or we can check, like here I'm checking that the token is, if the token is not null, so I'm setting my header part here, or and I'm just making the request to the server onto the by using the handler.next. And if the auth token is null, so I'm here what I'm doing here, like if not equals to null, so I'm just setting the token into my headers, and I'm sending the request to the server here. But what if, like if there is no token, so here I'm checking that if the token is not equals to null, just simply send the request to the server, like we usually do in login case or in sign up case. So because on that time we don't have a authorization token in our application, so we just send the normal request to the server for getting the token. And after getting a successful response from the server, we usually set the token. uh, I usually set the token here, and I'll explain you later that how I set the token here. Okay, and after that we have our error interceptors. And here we just simply check if the error is like if the error contains like uh, this status code or maybe something else, so we can usually perform some kind of operations on that request, or we can just simply pause the request, like we can just go to the next step. Okay, so this is our network client, Duo network client. Okay, so but how can I use this network client in our application? Okay, so first let's get into the pubspec file. As you can see that I'm using the Duo 4.0.4, and also I'm using the getit. Okay, here in my application, I usually use the getit for making a singleton clients, and I usually use a provider for the state management, and the Flutter Spin Kit is usually for the loader, and this is for Toast library, and also the Google fonts. These are the not necessary for this talk, but we have to see Duo, getit, and the providers. These are the main libraries for on like in this talk. Okay, now jump into the main.dart. Okay, we just created a Duo network client, but how can I use it by using a dependency injection? As I as I told you before here, like we are using the get it for making the singleton clients. Okay, so here I'm just simply defining my network client. Like I'm just defining my Neo network client in the register singleton and creating it and making my class a singleton. And I'm using setup dependency in my main file. I just call this function on my main function here. Okay, so whenever our application starts, so it just simply call the function and it will register the singleton client of Dio network client. Okay, and after that, I'm creating a one more singleton client, and it is a navigation service. Like most of the part of our application, we don't have our context. So I'm just creating for the navigation thing. I created this client. I created this like I'm registering this services for getting the context wherever I want. Okay, so and we will take a look on it, but not now. We will take a look on it later. First, here I just registered the singleton Dio network singleton client, and but you guys are thinking that how can I use this? Okay, so now let's get jump into the provider sections. Okay, so here this is the request that I'm making to the server, like for getting the user list. And in this request I'm using Dio API services. So what is this? Here in this class I defined all of our HTTP methods. Like this is my get request and it will accept those parameters. And here as you can see here that I'm using the network client here by using the singleton by using the service locator instance that we created in our main file. And what it will do, we will see it later. Like when we create a request, that how that what are the things that are performing in the interceptors in the client part. Okay, so here all of our HTTP methods, like this is the post method and it's a basic class for just passing the request. And here I am I'm making my custom exceptions here. Like whenever I get the error from the server, I'm just I just passed I just changed those require like those messages. I just replace those message as a custom message. Like here I'm if I get a bad request, so I just change it to bad request, unauthorized request. And this is the custom exception part here. This is the custom exception that I in that implements the exceptions, and it usually takes a string. Okay, so and here this is this all of the classes, like the fetch data exception, bad request exception, unauthorized and invalid input exceptions. I'm just extend all of those classes from the exception, and it only takes the message, like I'm replacing the message to the custom message here. Okay, that's it for the Dio API service. Now let's get on the API call. For this, we have to see the request. Okay, so as you guys can see here that I have a list of user here, and when I'm starting my application, so I just restarted my application here, and I'm getting the data from the server. And here I also use a refresh indicator for refreshing the data. But what's the story behind this request? So we will debug it. We will debug the request. Okay, first of all, we will see the request interceptors. Whenever I reload the state, I check on the request, like before sending the request to the server, I check the request, like right now the token is null here. Okay, so if the token is null, I just simply check the shared preference if the token is present or not. Like here the token is null, so I just simply make the next a request to the server, because this is a get request. This is an unauthorized request in this case, because we are not passing the headers to the server, and the request like it's a public request, so we don't need the authorization header here. Okay, so I just simply pass the request, and I got my data here. Okay, but what about in error case? So for checking the error case, I just simply change my endpoint here. So here I hit my request interceptor again, and after that we get the error from the server, like a 404, the request not found. Okay, so and I just showed my message here in in my in my main widget. Okay, so we will see the main widget as well here. So what I'm doing here, I just create I just call the provider, and I make a request for getting the user list. Okay, so in consumer, I just simply create a child widget that is a simple loader for checking the for like in the meanwhile I'm showing the loader when I'm getting the data from the server. So in the meanwhile I'm showing the loader here, and like if the state is true, like the shoulder rate is true, so I'm just returning my child, and it's a simple loader. And if I'm getting the data from the server, like so if my user list wrapper is not equals to null, like the request, like if the data is not equals to null and the error is equals to null, so I just simply showed my main widget, which is the user list. And if there's some kind of error, so I just simply showed the error in error component, and which is right now you are seeing in my screen. So if I hit the retry, so it simply make another request to the server. And as you know that we just changed the endpoint, so I'm getting this error again and again. So the UI part is very much simple. There's no some hard logic on that point, so we don't need to worry about it. And now let's get back onto the DO client. Okay, so you guys are saying that we are getting data from the server, but what if if I'm getting this error, like unauthorized error from the server, like the user is not authorized? So what we will do in this case? So in this case, we will check if the message contains like 403, like access forbidden. So we just simply check the error here, like if the message contain this, so we can simply log out the user. But right now we are getting some other error, so I'm just bypassing this request, so we can see what will be the output if we can if we can get the access forbidden error from the server. Okay, so if I'm just hot reload the application. Okay, so as you can see that we are just again and again seeing the splash screen. It's because we are getting the error from the server, and just simply we are trying to log out the user from our application. So we need to stop this by opening the commented code, this, and if we can hot reload. So now we are back onto the same position, 404 error. Okay, so if I change, like if I change the endpoint here, so as you can see that I'm getting the data again here. And but what about the navigation services? Like the part of the DO client network is completed here. We just saw that all of the things, like what are the log interceptors? As you can see my console, that before this is my request that I'm sending to the server, and this is the response that I'm getting from the server, this is the response that I'm getting from the server. So every time I hit the request, I can easily see, I can easily see the data in my console. And if I'm getting the error from the server, so I can also see the error in our console, just like this. Okay, so now let's get back onto the navigation service, because we just completed the error interceptors. Now we know that how we can create a custom request, and how we can validate the request before sending the server, and how can we, and what are the things if we, what are the things that we have to do when if we get the access forbidden error from the server. So now jump into the navigation service, in which we are using the global context, like by using the dependency injection. So here I created the three functions which are the navigation push. Like if I'm if like if in a if my play if it's somewhere that I don't have an access of context, so I can use this method for navigating to the next screen, and I can use this for go back, and I can use this method for replacing the screen. Like I can clear whole stack and just push a new route onto the into the stack. Okay, so this is the navigation stack. But what about this key? From where we are getting this key? So we are getting this key into the main library. Like here I'm just simply assign this key to the navigator key into the material app, and this is the root of our application. I'm just simply assigning this key into the navigator key, so we have the whole context of our application here. Okay, so I think that's pretty much about the network calls, and we just simply take a look on different parts of the navigation, network calls, and we saw that how we can create a custom exceptions, and how to deal with the exceptions, and how to log out the user if we get the access for like unauthorized error from the server. So how we can log out into the error case, and how we can reload the widget if we get the error from the server. How and also we will see that how we can use how to use the API calls in a better way. So that's it from for today. Okay, so if you guys want to connect with me, so you can use this. For LinkedIn, you can just simply type Osama A. You can contact me on the LinkedIn. I already wrote many articles on the Medium about the Flutter, and this is my GitHub profile. And the project that I just explained to you here, it's already published on the GitHub. This project is already published on the GitHub. So if you guys have any question about it, so you can ask me through our LinkedIn channel. You can ask this question to me through our LinkedIn channel, or you can contact me through my email. And that's it. Thank you for, and I just want to make thanks for the Code Movement Pakistan to invite me here as a speaker and give me a chance to speak in front of you guys. Thank you so much.